Let's get on with the details now. The Ghana Cedi appears to be on a free fall as its performance against major trading currencies fluctuates fast. A dollar is now hovering around 4 Cedi 85 pesos, I must say. Importers have been complaining as the depreciation is affecting their businesses. So what is the cause and how did we get here? Check this out.
Checks showed most of the major banks were quoting 4 cedis 82 pesos and 4 cedis 85 pesos as the selling rate for $1. This should mean since last Friday, the cedi has lost about 7 pesos in value. Some of the banks have told Joy Business that it was due to most foreign investors trying to get out of the local bond market due to higher returns in the U.S. market. Sources say some of the investors are not bringing in the required dollars due to concerns with the interest on long-term bonds as well as the outlook. Some banks also say the Bank of Ghana is not releasing enough dollars to meet their demands, with some maintaining that the situation would not have gotten this bad if the regulator had intervened a bit earlier. But head of finance market at the Treasury at the Bank of Ghana, Stephen Opata, disagrees.
Actually increase our tempo of Bank of Ghana sales of FX to the market. So I expect the situation to continue and for us to have a very stable currency as we have experienced for most of the first quarter. And if you see that we will not be talking about the currency hopefully very soon.
There's also the school of thought that the cedi is overvalued and some level of depreciation is required to get its right levels. For some, if this challenge is not contained very soon to prevent further depreciation, then that might not be good for the economy, looking at the impact of sustained depreciation of the cedi on fuel prices, imported items, spare parts, transport fares, and even mortgage. It could also force the Bank of Ghana to hike interest rates to help minimize its impact on inflation.
So that gives you an idea of what we're talking about. So you know how we got here. What are some of the owners of forest bureaus and traders saying about the situation? Hear them.
Business has gone down drastically, and people don't come normally to change the money. They are saying there's nothing going on in town, so the foreign currency don't come as usual. No, the demand for the dollar is high, but we don't have it to sell to them, and the bank also doesn't supply it to us.
People don't walk in to transact business with us. Both the dollar giving us or the dollar people coming to buy from us, they don't come because somebody with $100 want the whole cedis that you are holding. They want to take all, but the cedi equivalent to does not allow $100 to take all your cedis over there. But someone who is coming to buy will actually demand that the dollar is too high, So at the end of the day, even he will not buy the dollar from us and he will take the cedis somewhere else. So patronage here is very low.
It's really taking a lot of toll on me because I used to, when the rate was a little bit better, I normally buy things from China and then South Africa, so I transfer money to accounts and all that. But now it seems it's taking a lot of a toll on me, and it's affecting my imports.
I actually like the cedi depreciating because I use the dollar quite often. But then, however, I have to go back to school, and then in school they charge in dollars. So then that's where I'll cry as a Ghanaian citizen because then the fees will be higher than it will be when the dollar is lower.
The dilemma of those who trade in the major trading currency there. So the minority in parliament, by the way, is predicting that the value of the cedi will hit 5 cedi 1 peso by end of this year. According to the deputy minority leader, James Kluche Aveji, the current free fall of the cedi is as a result of the running out of dollar loans taken by government last year. We'll hear from him in a bit. Well, we can hear from him actually, but before that, let me just let you know that I have in the studio George, who will be helping us with some analysis on the situation, whether or not, well, who do we believe, the minority or the majority? Should we believe the prediction of the minority, or should we just, you know, look at what's happening and perhaps juxtapose it with what we know from the past? Let's hear from the minority first.
The cedi will continue to depreciate, despite that we have the the head of the economic management team, Dr. Baumia, who claimed to have the solution. I think that by now, he'll now come to a realization that to arrest the fall in value of the cedi, it's not about presenting a paper. It's gone beyond that. We believe that by now, if what he said when they were in opposition of being able to solve the problem of the fall in the value of the cedi, we would have having a situation by now where the value of the cedi should rather be appreciating but not depreciating. But between January 2017 to today, or end of June, the value of the cedi has depreciated over 26%. So that tells you that...
And it's 4.8 now. Then
yeah, 4.8, then it was 3.8. So if the simple arithmetic is to subtract 4.8 from 3.8, you get a negative figure. Divided by 3.8 and multiply by 100, you get 26 and above. So that tells you the rate of the depreciation.
Well, what is contributing to this?
Yes, there are a number of factors. Factors in the sense that it is the demand and supply factor. It's just like a commodity. If all of us are chasing a fewer commodity, the price will definitely go up because the supplier will say, hey, there is more demand for it. So you increase the price. If you can afford, you buy it. The same factor is here, that the demand for the dollar is higher than the amount of dollar in the system. How do we get dollar into the system? We don't print dollar here in Ghana. How do we get dollar into Ghana? Through what we also sell outside Ghana, like oil that we sell, like the cocoa that we sell, timber, whatever we sell. We get dollar from those transactions. But currently, those products are not sufficient enough to give us more dollar. In 2017, the price of the fall in value or the price of the dollar didn't go up quickly as we are seeing now because of the borrowing that they did in 2017 in dollars. Now the borrowing in dollar brought in dollar into the system, so it saw the supply of dollar.
James Klucher speaking for the minority there. Well, the majority has also been speaking. Their member or the member on the Finance Committee in Parliament, Dr. Kwabena Twum, is saying that the city is actually performing better than previous years. We'll bring you that soundbite in a bit, but George is still here with me. George, let's talk about let me just do a very quick fact checking, if I may, with you. The majority says, well, the city is performing better than it has in previous years. The minority then says, looking at where we are, we're hitting 5 cedi 1 peso at the end of this year.
Well, politicizing the city's performance doesn't really help and rather complicate issues. But again, picking up from what he said and why we've gotten here is purely a demand and supply issue. We don't print dollars in this country. We depend on other countries' currency to actually support operations here. Why is this thing becoming a big issue? Because the economy is dollarized. I mean, mortgage, people's houses are being quoted in dollars, school fees are being done in dollars and all the rest.
A lot of imports as well.
So even apart from the importers, or where even egg is imported, toothpick is imported, water is imported. So there's a lot of demand for dollars. Now, if as a country we are not exporting more, we are not engaging in activities that generate dollars for us to act as a buffer or reserve for these both to fall on, then it means that when there's a limited supply of dollars in the market, you have a situation where the cedi would have to drop its value to chase the same amount of dollars on the market. Politicization
aside, George, are we able to look at the prediction that is being made and see if it has any substance at all for us to pay attention to it? 5 cedi 1 peso, will we ever get
Well,
there?
It's more of ifs and buts. And why? Because it's expected that the demand will pick up. People would have to import and come in. If we have not built enough reserves as a country at the Bank of Ghana to come in and support real demand, people who actually need these dollars to support the operations, then obviously the city will continue to depreciate. If you look at the Bank of Ghana's reserves, over 8 billion. But that's gross reserves. What about the actual liquid dollars that the Bank of Ghana has? Do they have that thing in place or not? So if government continues to borrow, and the time is due to settle these borrowings, and obviously this will also factor in. But yes, there are internal problems which government has to deal with.
But then
the
that's the point. That's the point that the minority seems to be making.
The government and the Bank of Ghana, they have to deal with it.
That we have this problem because we are borrowing too much. Are you, I mean, with
that borrowing didn't happen today. If you look at our debt stock, we're looking at over $100 million and all those things. So it means that it's more of a historical thing. But what is also happening outside is that a lot of the investors who bought into our bonds are getting out because of developments in the U.S. market, which is more of a safe market for them to invest. So most of them are getting out of this market.
So Donald Trump suddenly made the situation better for them?
Not necessarily, but in the fact that inflation is also going up in the U.S. So they have to look at ways to jack up their interest rates so they can also mop up the excess dollars in circulation. And therefore, the interest or the price that they are paying on government papers there is high. So if you look at that typical investor, that pension fund manager, he prefers to place his funds in the U.S. bonds and the Ghanaian bonds. And that is why most of these guys are getting out. Our recent bond that we floated, the 3-year bond, we couldn't get all that we wanted. And most of these investors bring in a significant amount of dollars to help us in operation. So the externalities are there, the external issues are there, but some are saying that if we don't address the issue of where everything is being dollarized today, and you have people who actually, they fear that the city's value is going to drop. So someone will take about 200,000 Ghana cedis, still go out there, look for dollars and buy and hoard them. Look at the profile of these foreign exchange accounts or dollar accounts in the banks. They are not active. You have somebody holding like $50,000, and from 2 years ago, he hasn't touched the dollars. So you see that most of these demands are not real demand. People fear. And again, when I'm afraid that the value of the city will drop, obviously I need to take some innovative measures.
But George, as someone who follows business news, and I don't follow business news, specifically, but even I get tired of knowing. It appears to me that we know the problem, but we've dollarization. We had this word in the last few years. We've had it over and over again. Yes, and we saw at some point government, the NDC administration at the time, put in some very drastic measures, which it then came back to reverse. What is it that we are not getting right? Why do we keep going back to the same problem? You think?
There's a confidence issue. There's the fear of unknown issue. So it means that you need to do more as Bank of Ghana and even on the government side to convince people that things are going to be good. If people are
uncertain, enough?
Well, it factors into the speculation thing. So if people think that 6 months from now, a businessman who trades a lot thinks that 6 months from now, things might not be good, that person will go out there and demand dollars that he doesn't need. And don't forget that.
So the person will go out there, try and reduce the usage of the economic words. So demand. So they'll basically go and withdraw their dollars and keep it.
No, go to rather my normal bank account. Withdraw about 50,000 Ghana cedis.
Convert it to dollars.
A guy at Cow Lane and all the rest and say that I want dollars, because that's a more safe approach in protecting my investment.
Right.
Look at how the city has depreciated even from January to now. Some are even quoting 5%. Look at what T-bill is offering you. Look at what a bank account, a savings account is offering you. Look at whether it's men's gold or whatever.
That's never much.
The value at which the city has dropped from January to now, if you had bought in dollars, you'd have made a lot of
returns by now.
So again, there are people out there who bet on this to make some good returns for their money, because your currency is not strong, and the fact that if I hold 100 cedis today, 6 months from now, it cannot get me that pot of soup, fufu, give me breakfast, give me lunch, give me supper, and also the next day enjoy a breakfast.
Right. Hold on for me, George. Let's hear from the majority in Parliament, because they are dismissing the predictions that the minority is making about whether or not the cedi will hit 5 cedi 1 peswa. Let's hear from Dr. Kwabna Chumnyama, who is on the Finance Committee for the majority.
We all know the implication of the city's depreciation on the economy, fuel prices, values of our currency, prices of goods and services. So once it happens, all of us should be worried. But I still have the confidence in the managers of our economy that they will manage the situation unduly. I'm aware that the dollar has also improved in its value, so it's also affecting our currency. Obviously, we still have a long way to go to permanently solve the situation. We still import almost everything that we use in Ghana. So once we're importing more than what we export, you will have these challenges. And I believe that it will not be solved in a day. We still haven't built any, our manufacturing sector is still not working to the level that we all expect. So we are not exporting a lot. We're importing almost everything. So once a while, we are going to have some of these. But by and large, if you look at the general terms, the city has done creditably since this government came in. It doesn't mean we are out of the woods yet. We will be having some of these hitches. It will let us know that we've not solved the situation permanently, so we need to do more to try and solve it once and for all.
Dr. Chim speaks for the majority side. George, does this give you any increased level of confidence?
Well, yeah, there can be talk from the Bank of Ghana. The Bank of Ghana the other time said that by this time things should stabilize. Yes, the talk is good, but just like in Chi, they will say that I've grown you from. Let's see those policy interventions that can quickly turn things around for us.
Right.
Because depreciation, every currency experiences blips, but
it's about how
when you're seeing that it's continuing, every day there's a blip.
Yeah.
Then everybody is worried. Then everybody is panicking.
Then does it not mean that the interventions aren't working?
Are those interventions touching the right spot?
Right.
And that's the most critical thing. Okay. So yes, you can be intervening, but are they touching the right spots?
Are they touching the right spots? That's a question that I think either the legislators or those in governance should be, looking at. Are they hitting that spot that they're supposed to hit for you to experience that, response? George, thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Kitty,
for coming to the studio. George Riafe is assisting editor with Joy Business now, helping us with some analysis on the depreciating Cedi. But we have to remain positive, right? We have to remain positive despite the politicization and what have you. We have to remain positive. So it will be for our good. You know what I mean?